All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to talk about matters accountability and, of course, audit reports. After that, it's quite that the Member of Parliament of Kibra, where KNH is also situated, is already on set with me, and I'll talk about that briefly as well. What he's doing in his constituency to ensure that the hospital is also in good hands. Of course, I know he's in good hands. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Morning.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
The biggest referral hospital is in your constituency, and you've had the way CEO has spoken. I don't know what your administration is doing also hand in hand with KNH to uplift it.
I think Lesiampi is one of those people. I think it was there sometimes back.
Exactly. 11
or so years, and is a reform-minded person. And he has some history on management. I think it's a good opportunity for him to come back again, especially now that we have a lot of challenges within the health sector. You know, the health sector is trying to bring a new programs in terms of SHA, and Kenyatta being the biggest hospital, referral hospital in this country, we'll have to get as many patients as possible. And I think this is where this SHA system will be tested. And now that the doctor is here, we only expect that he's going to make Kenyatta Hospital one of those hospitals where everybody else would want to go. You know, we have had challenges in terms of lack of enough nurses within the hospital, not adequate doctors to serve the Kenyan people. We have been lacking in numbers. But with him and with his assurance that he is going to increase the capacity even of the ICU within the system, I think it's a good start for a new CEO. We are going, as the Member of Parliament, we are going to work hand in hand and see how best this hospital, because it is found within Kibra constituency, we have just changed the numbers, and we'll have to see that we give Kenyan people, not just Kibra people. Kibra is just hosting this institution, but it is the best institution. In fact, when you ask me the best hospital in this country, I would always say it is Kenyatta National Hospital, because that is where we have the authentic doctors, doctors who are employed to do their work there throughout the day, not part-time day. And we have the best doctors. They're the ones teaching at the University of Nairobi, majorly, most of the doctors, the professors that we have in Kenyatta Hospital. And the facilities in Kenyatta also are amazing. When you go to the private wing of Kenyatta Hospital, it's an amazing block. And the doctors there, you know, some of these hospitals do not have permanent doctors. They have doctors on call. I would not name the hospitals. But the big hospital you think about, they just have doctors on call. But Kenyatta National Hospital has permanent doctors.
Resident doctors.
And resident doctors. The only thing we need to do as a Kenyan government is to facilitate these doctors, ensure that they have conducive environment to serve the Kenyan people, and make sure that Kenyatta is given the due attention that it deserves.
And perhaps what you're talking about can also be replicated in all the hospitals across the country, because it's a big problem right now.
There you are. You know, now health is a devolved function. And Kenyatta Hospital is a symbol of unity of operations of the health sector, because now it is still under the national government, because it is a national hospital. But we expect that our governors, with the opportunity that they have and with the devolved finances, they need to create more Kenyatta National Hospitals in various counties. And I think this is a viable endeavor. We need to have a better hospital. He has just said he has come from Jaramogi Odinga Center, which was upgraded to, what is it called?
Another
referral hospital.
Yes.
Is it level 6 hospital? Which is like a parastatal. I think all the counties need to have those kind of hospital, level 5 and level 6. if that is to be, so that our people get proper medication, they get proper treatment. Long time, you could not get any hospital.
Yeah.
You could only be referred to Kenyatta National Hospital. But now we also have KU, a referral hospital. We have Eldoret. Now we have Jaramogi. We have... So we need to have these hospitals in almost all the counties because it is a devolved function in the current constitution. So I think that is what we will ensure with the Kenyatta National Hospital. We will see as a constituency, if there is anything that we can contribute to help the Kenyan people in terms of getting proper medication, then I think we'll go out of our way to try and help and do.
You're right. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was actually designated at level 6 hospital, which is also one of the referral hospitals.
So my mind did not... Yes.
Wishma, let's talk about accountability and audit queries. You sit in Parliament, and members of Parliament, you have got a lot of work to do when it comes to accountability and actualizing the audit reports that comes from the Auditor General's office. Let me start by asking you this. We are still waiting for Ronald Bossi. Ronald Bossi is FSPA and also a member of the Ronalds and Associates. He'll be here shortly. But let's talk about the issue of audit queries. Most of the time we see the Auditor General giving her report, the office giving the reports. But the implementation bit is where the problem is. Where is the problem?
Thank you. You've just reminded me. Yesterday we had audit report, special audit report on the Ministry of Education as Education Committee. Yes. We had requested that we needed a report on various areas, especially on capitation of the school. We also asked about the textbooks, the edu healthcare for schools, and many other areas. So the whole of yesterday morning, from 10 to 1,
yes,
we had the audited reports. But to my surprise, that report to us as Education Committee did not meet the threshold of what we wanted to be found out. Because the auditor himself was referring to annexes which were not even attached. So we were not able to follow, really, exactly how that audit was carried out.
Yes.
In fact, we stood him down as Education Committee to come next week with a good report so that we could be able to analyze, compare if there were receipts that were done, if the schools were there. So I think, again, as much as the Office of the Auditor has normally given comprehensive reports on various critical issues and various counties, various constituencies, various sagas of the government, various departments of the government. But yesterday in the Education Committee, it fell short of our threshold.
What was your expectation?
Our expectation was for us to see that if this money was received, how many schools did not receive this?
What was the amount, for clarity?
Not exactly. We had various, not just a particular school. Yeah. We were looking at, this capitation has had a big problem. We have said that maybe sometimes not all the capitation reaches some schools. So we expected that those schools which got capitation, suppose there were 3,000, we wanted to see that these 3,000 received this much. And these 200,000 did not receive any amount of capitation. And when we also looked at the books, you would realize that maybe 3,000 secondary schools never received the textbooks. And maybe 2,000 received excess textbooks. We needed the annexes to see which are these schools which received excess textbooks. So, when we are doing auditing, we have to compare the various annexes and the presentation of the auditor. So this never happened. So our expectation, I think next time when you call me, we'll try and discuss really what do they give as audited report. But let's come to your question about the implementation. I think when we discuss these reports as a parliament, we need to do it with a tooth comb and see the areas that as Kenyans expect we do the oversight role for these areas. But you will realize sometimes when these reports come, maybe the members of parliament, including myself, maybe the members of we do not take enough of our time to go through these audited accounts step by step. And I think if we do this as the members of parliament and give recommendations to the executive, you know, it is our recommendations that will be used by the executive to implement some of these requirements within the report. I think as members of parliament, we need to put our foot down, and if there are audit queries, we need to have a mechanism of following these audit queries with the respective sagas of the government, where the sagas are those agencies of the government or departments of the government for that matter. So I think that as members of parliament, we need to be very vigilant, and we need to exercise high level of authority in terms of oversighting the executive. Because when we oversight properly, then we will have these audited accounts implemented. And if they are not implemented, it is our duties as members of parliament to call particular CSS and PSS in those departments to come and account for those audit queries within the parliament. So I think this is where there has been a bit of laxity. But I'm not saying that we are not calling the PSS and CSS. Every Wednesday in the afternoon is called the question time, like today. All the questions will be put to various ministries, and the CSS are called to come. And they must respect that. For those who don't respect, there are other areas that we use as the organs of the parliament.
The Auditor General also raised some questions to do with counties having numerous bank accounts, close to 200, 300, some of them even 500 bank accounts. And she raised an issue to do with that opens the window for public funds not to be properly used, theft and misappropriation of public funds. Mheshimiwa, from the legislative arm of government, does this also worry you?
Of course, not just as the legislative arm of the government. It worries all Kenyans. You know, we are representatives of the Kenyan people, and this is just delegated to us to ensure that we voice the concerns of the common wananchi through parliament. And I think being the case, this has been debated, you know, the senators oversight the counties. And I think the last 2 weeks we have had some governors trying to explain why they have many bank accounts. And it is 558. It is not imaginable. Others have 14. Others have 20. I think those are normal within the counties, because a county is also a government on its own. But when we are talking of those numbers, it becomes a bit suspicious. And as you could see that the senators really interrogated those governors just to find out why. In fact, I was listening. I listened to those debates myself. And there were auditors claimed that there were ghost workers in some counties. And somebody said that a ghost is somebody who has died. So they are paying people who are kind of dead. That is why they are ghosts. I don't know how they are receiving the monies when they are dead. But in terms of legislation...
Yes. Can we take a quick break?
I don't mind.
It's 7:30.
Thank you.
Let's take a break and have our cups of coffee, as also welcome Ronald Bossi on set shortly. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back. I now have Ronald Bossi, who is a managing partner at Ronald's Africa. He's already on set. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, in 1 minute, I asked Mheshimiwa the issue of implementation to do with the audit audit reports. Where the problem is, and perhaps for Wanjiku to understand, as an auditor, you'll do your work day in, day out, write reports, present it to the relevant bodies and all that. But now when it comes to the actual implementation of these reports, now that's where we slam the brakes. Why?
Yeah, thank you. Because one of the things that the government came up with, the initiatives that were being implemented by the Chief of Staff, Kip Koske, is to ensure that there is zero audit issues. So trying to 100% fast track the queries that are rising from the Auditor General on various government entities and of course the county government also. But we've not seen that being fast-tracked subsequently in terms of holding those who are in office and, of course, those who are the accounting officers accountable for implementation of those issues. But one of the things that I see, especially from the interactions between the Senate and the county government, is the level of incompetency in the county government in terms of the accounting staffs and the finance staffs. I believe the biggest challenge is that what you realize that because hiring in the county government has been more of a political process rather than meritocracy taking center stage. If you look at it, they are struggling to actually address very basic issues that if you realize that these people, if they were very well prepared, there won't be issues. So one of the things is the competence gaps in terms of the level of professionalism with the county staff. Because if you hire people based on political process, you just want to reward them, then you don't have enough team to address even some of the most basic issues. And when you look at some of the queries, there are queries that can be addressed very well, and some of the figures don't make sense, they don't add up. But you realize that there's a bit of incompetence. And number two, the biggest challenge, of course, as we have as a country, is the aspect of consequence management. Meaning that are we holding accountable the accounting officers who are supposed to ensure proper accountability of the funds that they are attributed to? So you see, we've not also been very proactive in holding the accounting officers, who are the governors, accountable for that. So most often it looks like a pro forma process, that you'll come, you will try to explain things, and eventually it will be over. There isn't fast tracking in terms of consequence management, and most often it's because of where are you in terms of the political regime. Of course, it's not really pushed under the carpet, because we've seen a number of governors still come there in court. We have one of the former governor of Kiambu who is answering to fraud questions and all that. Most of those things seemingly are pushed under the carpet until you have an issue or you have some political differences.
Do you have a problem with the Parliament? You know, Member of Parliament Kibra's constituent is here. And Mheshimiwa, we also talked about, before we took a break, we talked about the issue of several counties, a number of counties having several bank accounts, close to 300 up to 500 bank accounts. Some of them are dormant for a number of years, some of them are duplicated bank account, etc., and duplicated roles. How are we planning to solve this, Mheshimiwa, so that we streamline it to just, the Auditor General also said that 10 bank accounts is not that bad.
Just my small sense thinking.
Yes.
I think we need to cap this, not just in the Constitution, but we need to bring a legislation on even how many bank accounts. When you look at, I like referring to education. The schools are allowed to have maybe 3 bank accounts only, so that they don't have others. When you go to the NGCDF also, they are given only a given number of bank accounts that they can operate. I think we need to have a policy on how many bank accounts the governors should be having, so that somebody cannot just come and have 50 bank accounts. What are they going to do with those 50 bank accounts? When the exchequer comes directly to the bank accounts, is it for the recurrent expenditure? Is it for development? Is it for the health? So we need to see the devolved functions, and maybe if we have 10 minutes devolved, if we have 12 the bank accounts maybe for health, then we only need to have those bank accounts for the devolved function, and maybe for recurrent development and a few others. But we cannot have bank accounts as we wish in the counties. It is ridiculous. Even as Kenyans, why would you, even yourself, how many bank accounts do you need to operate as a person? You cannot operate. If you start operating more than 5 bank accounts, then we also say that there is something sinister. So we need, as a Kenyan people, and also I would urge the Senate also, as they do their oversight role, that we need to dictate the number of bank accounts, not dictating in terms without legislation, dictating by bringing proper policies guiding or how these bank accounts should be operated, but also dictating that these governors must not open bank accounts as they wish. This is going to bring sobriety. It is going to bring effective management of finances. It is going to remove completely the suspicions that people have on these governors. And I believe with that, even the Auditor General's office will have an easier work to audit these counties. Because can you imagine 500 bank accounts, even the Auditor General for one county? How, and you see when you are auditing, whether it is debiting and crediting, whether it is a small bank, it is still a work to be done. So I think the counties should be encouraged not to have many bank accounts. Yeah.
Ronald, what do you say about that?
You see, the most important thing is what is the process of opening the bank accounts, and why are county governments motivated to have so many bank accounts? Most often it's because of perpetrating fraudulent transactions, so that to avoid the purview of the audit work. Because if you have 300 bank accounts, you know, you have to almost secularize, if I'm an auditor, secularize almost all the banks, which is quite tedious and takes a lot of time. And even some of the bank accounts might go unnoticed, unless you're very keen and you do like 100% vouching. So really what we are saying is that there must be a defined process of opening a bank account. And of course, a legal enforcement of that in terms of if you open bank accounts and procedurally, what are the consequences, especially through the trying to update and review the PFM Act, the Public Finance Management Act, to guide the procedure of opening bank accounts, so that it makes the audit more seamless and that all the financial transactions are brought into perspective. Because you've seen, especially talking about the county government, the biggest ill in the county government, I believe, one of the biggest ill is the issue of having ghost workers. That's what you're talking about. You've seen, like Nairobi County, jumping from 5,000 employees to 16,000 employees. You can imagine what are the procedures, and you realize that most of the funds that are supposed to go to capital are now going to recurrent, because they're just now paying salaries. Counties is one of the biggest and the most noble idea that this country ever had. But the biggest problem has been the efficacy of managing these counties, including opening unnecessary bank accounts, unnecessary procurements, pending bills that are building up, really making the business community suffer. So what we need to do is to say, what are the procedures? We need to entrench that in the PFM Act, and what are the various steps that you need to take in order to operationalize those bank accounts, so that those who open unnecessary bank accounts are brought to charge, and they are actually asked to, there's a constitutional process on how we be able to deal with them.
When you look at our topic, it's about public funds and the audit queries. But how important is this to the taxpayer, Wanjiku? Because the report, you and I can understand what the audit report is all about. What about Wanjiku? How important is this report? Because, for example, you got that report yesterday from the Education Committee. That touches basically everyone across the country. Mheshimiwa, let me start with you. How important are these reports? When you receive them, as a committee of parliament, you need to go deeper into it. You need to investigate where the funds were lost, the targets were met, etc., etc.
I think I started by saying that as a member of parliament, we are custodians of the interests of the people of Kenya.
Right.
and the interests of the people of Kenya, that is now what is called the interest of Wanjiku. We carry the mandate of the people to see really what they are supposed to see in these audit reports. In my thinking, I think the Auditor General should make reports that also we can carry out what is also called a public participation on this audit report. We must go and engage the people at the grassroots. After the audit reports have been produced, we need to go and engage the public to try and understand the effect and the impact of these audit reports on the lives of the Kenyan citizen, especially in terms of the economic awareness of the people of Kenya. Because if the funds that were meant for a certain duty or function has been embezzled, it means the Wanjiku is the one going to suffer. If these funds do not reach the intended purpose, it means therefore that the Wanjiku is going to suffer. So in our new constitution, there is a new phenomenon called public participation. My brother is here who has been auditor. He is auditing the Auditor General.
Yeah.
We need to encourage them that they also carry public participation. But this requires finances. We need to allocate as members of parliament that when these audited accounts or reports are, before they are taken to the parliament, the Auditor General's office need to engage the public and see the impact of this on their monies, because these monies belong to the Kenyan people.
Yeah.
It belongs to Wanjiku. So even before they are taken, like you saw when the CS for Treasury was trying to write bring about the bill, the finance bill, he had to go and engage the public. And when it has also been done, he should also engage the public. So I believe also the Office of the Auditor General, apart from us parliamentarians, that we are going to debate these audited accounts in Parliament. Sometimes, because of a barrier in terms of understanding, the members of Parliament will easily understand what is contained in the audited account, but we need to have a mechanism to go and explain to the Kenyan people what this audited report has brought up. If it is about embezzling of funds, we need to know, the Kenyan people need to know. And how are we going to rectify this? Because the purpose of audit is to give notice to those who are not operating within the framework of legal requirements, so that they actually do the right thing for the Kenyan people. They actually work with some ethics. We must have ethics in our work. So I believe that we must, as members of Parliament, also engage people we represent, especially when we receive these reports. I am saying, like now, yesterday we had reports on education. I should be able, if I go to my constituency, I should engage my people and tell them that these monies that were given to the Ministry of Education from the Exchequer, this amount was not used properly. These schools did not get the books that is required. These are the balances, so that they try to understand how the government operates and how people really, those who work on their behalf, whether they are following the right procedures in their stations of work or whether they are not following the right procedures.
Ronald, as you also comment on that, the issue of every time a report is brought out, do you recommend for prosecution of some sort?
Yeah, in terms of a report, you know, there's an external audit report.
Exactly, and the internal.
And then there is the forensic audit report. So most oftenly, when you talk about forensic, it means it is a report meant for litigation. But an external audit is to highlight discrepancies and inconsistencies in the financial statements. Because the essence of an external audit is to give an opinion on the financial statement in terms of whether those financial statements, there is collaborating documents that adequately support them.
Yeah.
But then that report leads to what we can call a forensic audit. If there are material discrepancies or significant discrepancies, and then it is important that those charged with governance should escalate to doing specialized audits, which we are calling the forensic audit. And those charged with governance are the Senate. The Senate needs to investigate those, to look into deeply into the reports of the counties, and then say those reports that have material discrepancies are related from the audit. If they're supposed to go to litigation, then they can undertake a forensic audit, unless the external audit also has presented significant evidence to show that there is fraud that can be relied on litigation process. But you know, most often from a practitioner's perspective, the external auditors report that it is not sufficient to do a litigation process, but it gives you insights into areas of fraud that then now the Senate, especially when it regards to counties, and then also the Parliament, especially when it regards to national entities, they need to make decisions on those, and the county assembly also need to make decisions on the county government entities for the purpose of now taking necessary steps in terms of prosecuting those who have embezzled the funds. But what, just responding to what the Member of Parliament has said, and they said very important, the biggest challenge is when the Finance Act, the Finance Bill has been really popularized and effectively communicated, and a lot of people now understand that Finance Act is very disruptive in terms of taxes and all that. And it is always presented every year and with the budget. But what I've always said that in the presentation of the Finance Bill and the budget, can we amend the Constitution that it's also presented by an audit report? Because you see, like in an AGM, I'm assuming that the presentation of the budget is like an AGM for the whole country.
Yes.
So we are presenting the budget for the next financial year, and the Treasury will always say we are proposing to do that. Can it be accompanied by the government financial statements for the previous year with an audit report? What areas, because you see, we always plan budget for funds, but those funds are always misused, they're embezzled, and like you'll see, most of the almost 98% of the county audit reports are all qualified. They are, meaning that there is then defective opinions. And then we don't account for fraud. So we like budgeting for fraud. Because we budget.
Let him tell Kenyans. Let him tell, you know, some people think when they have qualified the accounts, they think it is good. So tell them that when they are qualified, what it means.
They are budgeting for fraud. That's a heavy statement.
Yeah, because you see, there are different types of audit opinions. There's what you call the unqualified audit opinion. If it's unqualified audit opinion, it means there have been no material discrepancies and the accounts are true and fair. And then there is what you call a qualified audit opinion. I've seen a number of even counties celebrating that they have gotten a qualified opinion, saying it's a good one. But a qualified opinion, it means that the evidence supported this, there were some also material discrepancies in the financial statements, and always there is a basis for qualified opinion that highlights the significant issues that arose during the audit. Then we have another opinion which most governors get, is what you call the adverse opinion. Adverse opinion meaning that there are significant material elements in those accounts for the counties, and we always say they are pervasive, material and pervasive, meaning that you cannot even rely on those financial statements to make a good decision in terms of. But you see, you know, when you say the report is adverse, but we move on as if nothing is wrong, it's a big problem. And then now we have what you call a disclaimer, and some counties receive disclaimer, whereby we are saying even it is not possible to give an opinion on those accounts, it's quite a damning report.
Yeah.
There is significant issues that needs to be addressed. So those are the 4 audit opinions, and qualified, which is an okay opinion, qualified, which is there are material issues but not very pervasive, adverse, which are very material and pervasive, and then disclaimer, which is, it's things that we cannot even make a decision on those financial statements.
Wow.
So if these financial statements are presented alongside the budget, and members are told, by the way, as the government budgets, in the last financial year, this is how they performed. There was this amount, billions of shillings in question, which then we should task the treasurer to do recovery.
Yes.
Before even that recovery should be part of the budget of the income for the next financial year. But see, the problem, we lose funds and then forget about it.
But then the question is, do we really get value from the audit reports, Mheshimiwa? Do we really get value out of that?
Of course, we get value. It's only that now it depends on the extent of the value.
Yeah.
Because without those audit reports, even a country cannot run. Without those opinions, the country cannot run. Like if, for example, a county has a disclaimer, in fact, because now he's an auditor, in fact, that county, if a county has a disclaimer, that governor should be impeached.
Of course, yeah.
Straight away should be impeached, because it means that their financial accountability does not even make sense. You can't even start. That means the auditors are saying that they are not even able to make proper auditing of that county. Even when you have adverse reports, that is a red flag for the governors. And with those reports, we are saying that they add value, because from there, you have a stepping stone. You know where you can start from as a government. You know where you can start from as a county. You can reflect back and see really what you budgeted for. Has they been prudently utilized, the resources that you budgeted for?
Yeah.
And in fact, my colleague here is saying that before the budget, what we passed as parliament, you know, now the parliament is involved in budgeting, the committees, those budgets pass through the committees of parliament, then it is taken to all the members of parliament to approve budgets. But sometimes you realize that what we budget in parliament, when now, later on, when it is operationalized, you might realize that what we did in parliament is totally different from now what is being operationalized.
Yeah.
So it means also there is a bit of interference of the budgets from parliament by the executive, because this budget now goes back to the executive. So the final budget that comes, you might find that we have some variances with what was there in parliament. But what we are saying is that this audit reports gives a milestone. They give people to try and look at the operations deeply in terms of the financial statements, the resource utilization, prudent utilization of finances, investment of finances. It gives us a way also of measuring the ability of certain people who are charged with responsibilities in high offices.
Okay.
So that is why we must have audited reports.
Ronald, 15 years in business?
Yeah, 15 years running the practice, but I've been practicing
that's
for more than 20 years. Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
How has it been? When you talk about the audit reports in Kenya and East Africa and continentally, how's it been, the run?
I believe there are countries that are doing better than East Africa. If you go to Rwanda,
yes,
because I operate across the region, in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania, and then more than other African countries. So Rwanda, they're doing very well in terms of trying to implement the audit. Actually, 94% of their audit reports are unqualified. Yeah, 94%.
Where?
of their audit reports are unqualified.
Okay.
And it's one of the things they do very incredibly. They publish accountability for every state organization to see how the funds has been utilized. And also the issue of holding accountable those who are responsible
Yes.
for various financial malpractices. So we need to entrench this in our practice, because if we are able to do that, and in Kenya, if we say we are the leading economy in East Africa, that doesn't need just to be reflected in our GDP. It needs to be reflected in our professionalism, especially in terms of the government services to people. So yeah, it's been so it's been incredible trying to offer assurance in the private practice where I have been also for a couple of years. If during every year there is an AGM of members, whereby they are presented with financial statements, and based on that AGM, members will vote for the incoming board members and the CEO, and they will actually, based on that, to renew his tenure.
And what are we looking at now as you get into your 15th year in business now?
The 15 years has been incredible. So what we are looking at for us as a practice is to try to support professionalism in public institutions. Okay. Remember, we have a mantle: growth, professionalism, and sustainability, the GPS. We always say that we are the GPS of organizations. Growth, professionalism, and sustainability.
Great.
So we are celebrating the 15th anniversary probably in this month of October. And we are looking at how do we strengthen accountability in the public practice and also in the private practice, and enhance professionalism and support sustainability. So we're looking at, because we've managed to support organizations and governments in the East African region, because also we work for the Auditor General of Uganda. We have had an incredible working for some of the state corporations, for some of the sub-counties in Uganda. And now we are working in some organizations in Tanzania and Rwanda. So we are looking forward, how can we spread our wings and be the Pan-African firm? Of course, currently we're also working for institutions in Zambia. We are working in West Africa. So trying to be the leading Pan-African firm across the continent, try to support organizations with regards to governance, better auditing practices in terms of professionalization and strategy formulations and risk and all other elements. Yeah, so it's been an incredible 15 years in practice.
Mheshimiwa is here. You can talk to him. Can you attend?
Yeah.
Can you attend? If you happen to celebrate that 15 years, Mheshimiwa is here. Invite us.
Thank you.
We'll be here to celebrate with you.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Mheshimiwa, people of Kibra, you went on recess, you disappeared. I decided not to call you because I know that's the point to need time with your people. They're okay.
You know, when we are on recess, people do not understand. That is when we are even more busy, because we go for the committee meetings. They are even longer. That's when you look at our performance in the departments. So even as we are on recess, we are still working, sometimes from Monday to Friday, except that now we don't go to the parliament for legislation. But I want to say thank you for, is it our last statements? Or we still have more time?
No, we are done. We are done.
It was that short. So we only need, I need to say, to greet my people of Kibra.
Absolutely.
You know that they are the people who made me be where I am.
Yes.
And I always say that I am here on their behalf. I carry their aspirations, and they are good people of Kenya.
All right.
So thank you for inviting
Asante sana. Mheshimiwa Bitorero, Member of Parliament, Kibra constituency, and Ronald Bosi, who is the Group Managing Partner, Ronald's Africa, celebrating 15 years of service in the audit sector. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming to the show. It was all about public funds and the audit queries and what we really need to understand and why it is important to you as a taxpayer. I call Wanjiku. Asante sana. That's where we wrap it up.